One of the indications that I got was I was asked whether I have a husband. So I immediately knew that there was something that relating to my husband that they suddenly are interested. The other question that I got was, what do I do exactly? But every time I wouldn't answer, I would tell them that when you abducted me, what information do you have about me? And they really didn't like the word abduct. So they kept telling me, we did not abduct you. And I said, what you're doing is abduction. I didn't get to see their faces. There's one of them, I know that when they were taking me, I looked into his face, but he was wearing a mask and a cap. I saw only his eyes. The others I didn't see. But I think my sense tells me that they were younger, based on the voice and the way they're young, the ones behind, and the ones in front, unfortunately, I've not been able to interact with. I would really like to take this opportunity to thank people. And as I said, primarily, I would like to thank you, international media, but I also like to thank individuals in Tanzania and in Kenya who have spoken up. I've not been able to see everything. I just was briefed. I'm aware that people like God bless Lema and Tundu Lissu and Mnyika, some of the politicians in Tanzania, have spoken up. I'm also aware that there have been a number of individuals who have done a lot of activism in terms of calling people. But I also want to thank a lot the government and the embassies of the EU delegation and the US. And of course, I would like to thank all the human rights associations in Kenya, including Amnesty International, Amnesty Kenya, Law Society of Kenya, Defenders Coalition. Sorry, I have a list. Yeah. So I want to thank everyone, and I want to thank very much also the people of Kenya. I would like to take this opportunity specifically to thank the driver who was the one who came to get me, Eric. I would really like, once things settle, to meet him. He actually took the initiative and reported the case to the police, and immediately, within a short time, I'm told, it went out that I was abducted. I want to thank him because I'm sure he was intimidated, although I at that moment in time I didn't see. And I would like to specifically thank, I don't know who the driver is from the City Hopper, but he really confused them because he blocked that car. And he also knocked them. So I want to thank very much. I also want to thank specifically Kenyans. The kind of ownership they had about this, I didn't expect. I can only say thank you very much to Kenya as well. Thank you, Kenya.
Yes, can take some questions.
I'm Steve Otieno from the Daily Nation. Paul Sana for that. You've been in Kenya roughly 4 years.
Yes.
Why do you think this is happening now? I know last week you posted something on Tundu Lissu not being scared. Why do you think it's happening now, not years before?
Should I take?
Can we do five?
Yes.
Then,
Yes.
You respond.
Yes.
And do another round.
Yeah. Right, thank you. My name is Esther Diana from Standard Media Group. You fled Tanzania specifically for safety. Do you, after the events that happened, do you feel safe in Kenya? And then when you say you got a driver, perhaps did you get a chance to ask the driver, with the one who dropped you back to Kilimanjaro, where he picked you up? Do you have a recollection of where you got there, right?
My name is Mike from TV47. Perhaps from what happened yesterday, prior to that incident, have you previously received threats from anyone else or police?
My name is Melito Oletenges from Citizen TV. My question is, after you fled Tanzania in 2020 and came to Kenya, did you register with any refugee organization and say that you're seeking asylum in the country?
I think you can respond.
My name is Lucia from Space International News Agency. Just a very quick question. I'm not sure if you have an idea of how many people were involved or identified.
I think you can take on
Yes.
this.
Okay. So why now? 2025 is a watershed year for Tanzania. There is going to be a general election where for the first time we're going to be seeing the citizenry more awake than ever before. There is a much more bigger awareness, however the repression is getting very big. We have seen that the abductions have gone up since I would say 2 years now, but more in the past year. There's been a lot of abductions as well. Most of them have been politically targeted. One of the things that I've really fought for online, and I think it will answer to some of your questions, has been to shed light on abductions in Tanzania. One specific case that I know that I've done, and I've even filed with the UN, is of a young activist called Uzalendo Soka, but I've also done a number of abductions where continuously they have been reporting on the abductions. My feeling is that the Tanzania media, but not the mainstream media, but social media, have constantly been alluding that I am the cause for the ruling party CCM's demise, the unpopularity with the people, but it was more for me of a propaganda. But I think that now they're taking it more serious. But I also think that based on the fact that they really wanted access to my phone, I have a feeling that some of the things that I report on is now giving them sleepless nights. So that was one of the reasons they wanted. I think that 2025, there'll be more and more threats in Tanzania, but also outside Tanzania. I would like to take this moment to also mention specifically one person who I've had for many years target me specifically. His name is Musiba. And a few days before, on the 7th, he actually, on his online TV, he mentioned me and another journalist called Erika Bendera, who is also out of the country. And he said that what Tanzania needs to do, and that's what he said. He says we need to do the Kagame style and get them to come back and deal with them. So this I was told, but of course he's been saying a lot of outrageous things about me. But I think that this is probably one of the threats that was really taken seriously. I hope I've answered your question. About being safe, Esther, that's a very good question. And I will answer it together with the question about the asylum and the refugee. I didn't come to seek asylum in Kenya. I actually set up a business, and I was in the midst of moving, like officially moving, when I actually had to flee because I had information that they wanted to detain me. And I'm not sure how many of you are aware, what usually happens is when I say detainees, they abduct you. If you're lucky, you appear in court. If you're unlucky, you don't. This is a trend that happened under President Magufuli, and that is the time just before the elections. Just like now it's 2025 beginning, so that was before the elections in 2020 when this happened. And then we made the decision that for that reason, it's what I would call self-exile, that I will never go back. So it was not specifically a refugee, but of course Amnesty International was aware. They were the first individuals who were aware about what we were experiencing and the fact that we didn't want to go back to Tanzania self-exile, but we also asked for protection here. But within months, it became clear for us that Kenya was safe. So that was your question. And I've never felt unsafe in Kenya, to be honest. You asked about threats. Is that once there was an incident of a visit by people who identified as DCI, but nothing, when we tried to follow up together with some of the human rights, we were told that there's no issue. that those people came to look for me, they are not a threat or they were not looking for anything, so we let it go. So I don't know whether now that was a threat, but that's the only incident in the entire 4 years that I've had whereby I had individuals visit and then they left and they never came back. So I think that also is, for me, an indication that this gave me that safety. Now you're asking after the incident. That one, if you'll allow me, I will have to do assessment together with some assistance in terms of safety. I will say one thing. What makes me feel safe in Kenya are the Kenyans, more than anything else. Because what I experienced yesterday, I don't know how many people know that when you are being abducted and you see people fighting for you and they don't know who you are, that gave me a sense. And later I was told that in social media, Kenyans were actually trending it and commenting on it as if I was their own. For me, what gives me safety are the people. The second that gives, for me, a more secure is, unlike in Tanzania, there are rule of law things that have been happening, including the habeas corpus. And here I would like to take a moment to say, I feel very, very lucky compared to the people who have been disappeared in Tanzania. The activist I talked about, Deusdedit Soka, was disappeared, and the habeas corpus case was dismissed in court. They couldn't even get that done, and he's still missing for months. So I feel that in Kenya there was enough pressure for whoever was behind this to feel that this could become something bigger than what they were thinking. While I feel that in Tanzania that the spotlight is not there, I feel that in a lot of countries it's not there. So to your question, I still believe Kenya is safer in the region than any other. Could it be better? Definitely. I really wish Kenyans and the Kenyan government would understand, for some of us in the region, what it means to be able to have a place where you can a little bit breathe, just a little bit. I'm not asking for much, just a little bit to say that I don't agree with a certain thing. I think I answered your question on the asylum and how many people there were. 4. So 3 were the ones who got out of the car and were always moving around. There was the driver. At the last time we stopped before they released me, the driver also got out, and I was left only with the person on my right who was holding me and choking me most of the time, and he kept holding me all the time. So he never got out of the car. He was the one, I think, who was assigned to basically keep me there. And the driver, when he got out, that was the longest time they were gone, and I believe they were doing some consultations. The passenger in front is the one who I suspect, because was speaking to me in Swahili and my name and always wanted to get my reaction. I suspect he's the one who was actually giving or taking instructions. And sometimes I could hear and I could feel movement, so I think they were doing sign language or something over my head, so I wouldn't understand. But those were more like maybe saying, let's go or watch or something. But if they needed to do any bigger thing, they would leave. Yeah.
I think we can take last rounds of questions, then we close.
Okay.
We'll start from...
My name is Leonard Omalo from West TV. I have 2 questions. One, in your own estimation, how long do you think that ordeal, the whole thing took? Then secondly, from your own assessment, do you think the attempt is, the Tanzanian government has a direct hand in the abduction, or there was collaboration?
Yeah, hi, I'm Maria Sarungi Tsehai. A bit of a similar question. Like, did you feel like the men who abducted you were Tanzanian or Kenyan? And even if I'm guessing it's difficult to know, but who do you think is behind this, and if it was a collaboration?
My name is John Allen. I'm from Africa Uncensored. Given how close this came to have been more serious than it actually became, what does it make you reconsider at all your voice and your position in terms of critiquing the things that happen in Tanzania or in the country? And if you could also speak to the situation with abductions of foreign nationals in various countries in East Africa and what that does to Kenya's reputation.
Any other question?
There's a question I didn't answer.
Right. I have a question for Amnesty. Yeah, I'd like to pick your mind concerning this abduction. And this is not the first time such incident where an Kenyan is being abducted on the Kenyan soil. So I'd like to know from where you see, to what extent does this breach the legal process of extradition? And what does it say about Kenya's reputation globally?
Maria will go
Kenya
first.
safe for exiles anymore?
Maria will go first. Then
Okay. I'm sorry, there's a question I didn't answer about the driver. So I, to be honest, because the way they said is that I should just go home and I shouldn't talk to anyone. When we were getting near, I just asked him the fare. I didn't want to ask. And I was very scared, to be honest. I got my relief when I saw the gate, and I knew once I'm inside the gate, I'll be fine. So one of the things I've been trying to see, and I want to take this opportunity to appeal, if that driver sees this and he recognizes me, I actually had a cap. When they released me, they put the cap on me and they said go. So he wouldn't know, but I'm sure he will remember where he dropped me. As I said, when he was taking me, I was very quiet, but I was also trying at that time to remember what happened, so I was not paying attention. When I looked up, the first thing that I saw was I was on Gong at Carrefour. That's the thing that I recognized. And I said, this is Gong Road. And he said, yes. So then I felt that I am back. In terms of how long it took, I cannot say, but based on the fact that I texted my husband, I think it was before 3, that I'm about to leave. I think the abduction happened around 3 to 3:30. When they released me, it was dusk. Do you know the dusk which very quickly becomes night? So it was like when I came out, I started panicking. I said, is it my eyes? Because it was so tight for long. I said, is it that I can't see? And then I realized after a while that it's dusk. And I didn't walk for long when it became pitch dark. And of course there were no lights, so I was walking just based on the vehicles. So I think if you look at that, I think that must have been 7:30. I'm not sure, but I know that it must have been between that time. And I don't also know what time. You guys might remember what time I called, because I'm sorry, I have a very big disorientation until then. But of course, as you know, I use my phone to check the time. So unfortunately, even this morning I woke up, I said, what time is it? And I was looking for my phones. So I think it must have been between 3 to 4 hours. One thing I just wanted to very quickly say, because I find this very important, and you asked about the involvement of Tanzanians. My feeling was the way they were speeding and the way we were going on the bumps. And then after a while, we got to a bit of a rough road, and then we went again on good roads. My estimation, and I voiced it later, is that they wanted to cross me. They wanted to take me across the border. Maybe not them. Maybe they had a team waiting, because they kept getting out, and I said, who are we waiting for? And at one point, one of them said, we're just waiting for the boss. Then I said, oh, you have a boss. Who is your boss? Then they got angry because they realized they gave me some information that I could do. So again, then it was a struggle. But one of the things that I can say with confidence, there was Tanzanian involvement. And the reason I'm so confident is that I see no reason whatsoever for the Kenyan government to abduct me in Nairobi and start driving me around and ask for my phones. Because there is a better way if there's anything that could have happened. The other thing is the police next to me kept telling me, don't worry, I'm police, I'm taking you to a police station. And in fact, that same was sitting on the right asked me, did you commit anything wrong? I said, no, I didn't. He said, now you see, so why are you worried? So I said, because you abducted me. But he was trying to psychologically calm me down. Of course, I understood that. I'm not sure whether they knew that I also understood the kind of psychological games they were playing. Sorry, about Tanzania, Kenya, can you remind me your question?
Yeah, you kind of answered. Did you feel there was like a collaboration?
Oh, there was. So, one of the things I feel is that because I cannot judge. I can only judge based on what they were saying and how they were speaking. The ones at the back who were basically doing what I say, the manhandling, the handcuffing, the dragging, I think they were Kenyan because I didn't speak Swahili at all. I just spoke English continuously. The person in front was attempting several times to speak to me in Swahili and calling my name, but I refused to respond. My feeling is that's where the connection happens. And it's that same individual who also wanted my PIN and wanted my phones. So my feeling is the involvement based on what we're talking about is they wanted that access and the other thing. And I don't think this collaboration was official. I don't think so. Because there were times when, there were twice I think, when we got to a place, we were on the road, they slowed down, and then they told me to keep absolutely quiet. And I was very scared by then because they would really press me down, and I could hear people around. So I'm not sure whether this was now like a police block, but they kept telling me, be very quiet right now. Now my thinking is, if this was an official collaboration, they would have sailed through. That's my thinking. If this was something that was sanctioned, they would have sailed through. They wouldn't have needed to stop. They wouldn't have needed, they could even, my thinking was they could even have gotten an escort to the border. So it didn't feel like that. It also, for me, it felt that there was a lot of hesitation, which again, I think it was the international pressure. Yeah, Namu. About the criticism, I will not stop. I will not. That's one thing I can promise. I will not stop, I'll not relent, and I will not decrease anything. And in fact, it has given me so much things to be grateful for. As you rightfully said, this could have gone so wrong. There was a point in time when I was convinced that I was about to be taken across, and I knew the minute I crossed, you would never hear from me again. I'll become another poster. So I will never stop, never, ever stop. And if this was done, whether to intimidate me, to really harm me, that will never stop me. I will continue continuously to speak out. And not what I'm asking, I just want the world to know. In any normal democracy, I'm not asking for anything big. I ask for rule of law, I'm asking for the abductions to stop, and I'm asking for true democracy, which includes not abducting, hurting, and killing the opposition in Tanzania. I'm not a member of the opposition, but I speak up for them because they are under threat. People like Tundu Lissu, who have been shot, who barely survived, are still being targeted. For that reason, I cannot keep quiet. First of all, I have a bigger obligation now than ever before. But second, again, I am not doing anything illegal. I'm not doing anything that anybody would say is unconventional. I'm asking for the basic human rights in Tanzania. To finish up about foreign nationals, I think I'll leave that up to Roland to comment. My take is that it's very unfortunate. As I said before, I feel Kenya is definitely a place where I never felt threatened, never. So it's very unfortunate, but allow me then to hand over to Roland.
Yeah, Roland, switch.
Yeah.